Welcome to Saving Money for the Long Run. We recently went on a cruise with Royal Caribbean and we thought we would share how much it cost. Now, full disclosure, this was a work cruise for Joel, so the company that he works for paid for his cruise, and his boss decided to gift me with a ticket as well. So we will not be getting into the cost of the ticket for the cruise. However, we were responsible for anything extra that we spent. So we're going to share a few clips and pictures with you and explain those extra costs as well. We hope that you enjoy seeing our video. Let's go. So when you go on a cruise, you have the price of the ticket. The price of the ticket depends on the cruise line, the length of the cruise, the destination, and the location of your cruise suite. We were on a Royal Caribbean cruise. It isn't the cheapest cruise line, but definitely not the most expensive either. The ship that we were on was the Utopia of the Seas, and it is one of the world's largest ships. It can carry over 5,500 passengers and over 2,200 crew members. We were on a 3-day cruise. The destination was the Bahamas, which is probably one of the more frugal options for cruises out of Florida. Anyway, there are a lot of decks on this ship, and on a 3-day cruise, it is kind of hard to actually get around to seeing everything, but one thing that we did accomplish was going to a lot of the shows that are performed on the cruise. The entertainment is part of your cruise ticket, but reservations are recommended for a few of them. They do open up a standby line, so you might still get in without reservation, but you might have a better view if you have the reservation. Now, let's talk about food. There are a lot of restaurants that are included with your ticket, including buffets and the main dining room. There are also restaurants that are considered specialty dining, and they are not included. We just didn't go to any of those restaurants. We had back-to-back vacations to go to, so we decided to enjoy what was included with the cruise ticket. Now, let's talk about drinks. On a Royal Caribbean cruise, tap water, regular coffee, hot or iced tea, lemonade, milk, hot chocolate packets, and select juices are available during breakfast. However, any other beverages are either pay-as-you-go or can be purchased through a beverage package. I'm not going into the specifics of the different drink packages because right after our cruise, Royal Caribbean changed the soda package that we purchased. At the time we took our cruise, our drink package covered specialty coffees, sodas, milkshakes, mocktails, and bottled water. For me, the specialty coffees were my go-to beverage in the mornings, and for Joel, it was being able to get sodas. We pretty much picked up a bottle of water every time we would get a coffee or soda as well. We even took some of the bottled water with us when we stopped at Nassau. We paid $219.36 total for the drink package. Just as an FYI, you might have noticed that I did not say that it covered alcoholic beverages. There is a more expensive drink package that covers those types of beverages, but Joel and I aren't really that much into alcohol, and we definitely weren't going to pay extra for that. Now, let's talk about Nassau. There are tons of excursions that you can take at Nassau. Some could cost you more than $100 per person just to experience. Royal Caribbean also has its own excursion at Nassau. It's not included in your cruise ticket, so you do have to pay an extra charge for that experience. However, there are two other choices. One choice that you have is to stay on the ship, and that might sound kind of odd, but you aren't paying for an excursion, and since half of the passengers have gotten off the ship, you can move around with ease. You can do things that you wanted to do with shorter lines, and it's probably way quieter. So if you want to go on a cruise to relax, here's an opportunity to do that. The second choice is what we did. We got off the ship and we did some things that were not part of an excursion. Now, there are pros and cons of doing this. The pro is you get to move around at your own schedule and you can save a lot of money. The con, you are responsible to get back to the ship before they leave. And if you didn't plan that correctly, well, let's just say the ship is not waiting for you. If you're late, you're left. Anyway, we walked up to the Queen's Staircase. The Queen's Staircase is a historic landmark, and it features 66 steps that were carved by enslaved people between 1793 and 1794. It was later named after Queen Victoria in honor of her role in abolishing slavery. They also have a fort there as well, but it was closed for renovations, so we weren't able to see it. Just as a note, going to the Queen's Staircase is free. After checking out those stairs, and yes, we climbed them, we walked over to a pirate's museum. This pirate museum was really nice and only cost us a total of $28. This was totally worth it to us. We made a quick detour to the straw market and we didn't buy anything. We then went back to the ship and got back in time to have lunch on the ship, hours before the ship was scheduled to leave. The next day, the ship took us to Royal Caribbean's private island. This island is included in your cruise ticket, though there are some sections and excursions that are an extra cost. However, we just went to one of the free beach chairs and relaxed. Joel might have even snored a little bit. There are restaurants on the private island as well that are included with your cruise ticket. Also, if you have any of the drink packages on the cruise, it includes those same types of beverages on the island. And we both had our one mocktail of the cruise that afternoon, so no cost that day. The next day we returned to Florida, so nothing was spent that day either. Remember that when you buy a cruise ticket, that does not include gratuities, but the cruise line will go ahead and charge you a mandatory gratuity, so it does add up. Also, it is recommended to give your cabin steward an extra tip, and they will probably leave a little tip envelope in your room the night before to remind you about that tip. For us, we wouldn't think of not giving the steward a tip, but just remember these things do add up in the long run. There are other situations when you might want to tip someone, so it's a good idea to bring extra cash just in case. Another thing to keep in mind is that you will not have Wi-Fi or cell phone service on the ship unless you do one of two things. Pay for their Wi-Fi package, which is around $30 per day at this time. Or what we did, we paid for AT&T's International Day Pass, which covers Wi-Fi and cell phone service. It was also about $30 per day, but the benefit is that it also covered our cell service at Nassau. So it was totally worth it to us. It was $126.57 for the full amount of the cruise. So total, not including the tip, we spent around $373. We didn't include the tips because you get to decide how much you want to spend there. It was a great cruise, and we hope that you enjoyed seeing our experience and finding a few frugal choices to help prepare for the cost of a Royal Caribbean cruise. That's all for today. Come back soon because we are going to share about our second vacation that was in Tennessee, where we stayed in a very nice resort. And yeah, we saved money on that expense too. Until next time, this is Christy with Saving Money for the Long Run, saying it's a long run. Give yourself a little grace.